Alright, so let's talk about Tyra and what I feel her best build is going to be. Now, let's get right into it. I have two other variants, the obvious being a Genos counter and the Inara counter, being that her health is at the 240 point. So basically, just adding 50 health to Tyra, Genos can no longer one-shot you. But we're going to talk about my main build. If I don't play a Genos, if I don't play an Inara, this is what I feel is going to be her best class. I don't combine this with any legendary, so it's not really, pick whatever legendary you would like. I feel Hunting Party is the best and provides the best impact for if you're a solo player or if you're partied up and you're prioritizing teamwork. Hunting Party is just a better fit for both those roles. So let's get into it. So my only five is for Primal Might. Now Primal Might is a very useful, valuable, impactful card. It's, in my opinion, her most impactful card. Everything else, I feel it really, every other card I didn't pick really encourages a 1v1 style Tyra, which that's not my style. With this build, it does go side by side with my style. My style is a much more passive, much more willing to lose territory to maintain life, but really, to not be a pushover and not just stand still and get washed. These cards are really encourage the opposite of that. These cards really encourage you to go inside and fight in the pocket, fight close, die like a dummy. I don't do none of that. So the reason I got Primal Might, my only five, because it doesn't. It's a really an uncounterable, impactful help, and it really goes down to her Firebomb. Her Firebomb is an 18-second cooldown. It's one of the highest in the game. 18-second cooldown is one of the highest in the game. You cut that in half, that's 9 seconds. And all you need is an assist. An elimination is just an assist. All they gotta do is just like stand in your Firebomb and boom, an assist. You get another one, it goes down to basically 4.5. The primal the primal, might is very valuable for the Tyrant, especially being her Firebomb is basically her only useful card, her only useful attack. So, of course, it helps with other cooldowns, and it also helps with the speed build. This is a speed prioritized build. My playstyle with Tyra prioritizes speed. There is no such thing as, stand still and be a victor and do damage. No, it's moving, do damage, and get your ass out of there. Do your damage, throw your firebomb down, and move to the next spot. Map control, recognizing the map, recognizing where you feel confident in each map, and then just moving to each location and using this speed. So, let's talk about the speed now. My mic is all messed up, but and I will always say it. Tyra's best quality is his speed. When Tyra's put into the hands of a human player, she's garbage. But when she's put into the hands of a computer control player, that's when you see this champion shine. When you see Tyra shine, is with that computer aim and then that speed. Every computer Tyra I've ever went against, in training mode. I'm a big training mode, fan. I will always, tell other players, if you want to improve, go to training mode. Don't play in casual. I never play casual ever. I purely play ranked in training mode. In training mode, if you play against a Tyra, they always prioritize speed, nimble all day, and they have these cards maxed out. But what makes them deadly is that computer aim assist, which human players don't have. So, but you can bring in the speed, which is what I do. So Tracker and Incense are pretty much in the same category here. We're going to talk about both of them. When you get your 100 mark, 20% movement speed, it's not really that huge, but you feel it. What you really feel is when you throw the firebomb. I typically do the hunting party first. When I first see an opponent, I do the hunting party. Boom, I get that first initial speed. If they close the gap, then I throw the firebomb down in my location and I retreat and I back up as I shoot. It's not about just running away and looking where you're running. Run away and shoot. Do both. But of course you want to use the firebomb to help your team and you want to throw it on the objective, but it's all about staying alive and continuously staying alive and doing damage. So if that buck flanks you, if that Zen flanks you, always remember it's the hunting. You click the hunter's mark first, get that 20% damage increase if you're using the hunting party legendary, which I always use. Get the hunting mark off first, get that 20% movement speed. Once they close the gap, then you throw the firebomb down. But that's always the pattern. So, excuse that real quick. Um, and these stack up. Both these cards, the 30% and the 20% combining makes 52. So yeah, it does stack up in my experience. I have a Willow build, which I'm assuming it doesn't stack up with Willow. I'm not sure. I have to check into that, but I don't know. But these do stack up, and when they do stack up, it's really good. So these, and let me, another tip I would provide is the in-game bonus Nimble. When you could buy with the in-game credits, buy Nimble, guys. Get tier number 2 of Nimble. Invest into speed. You, of course, you're gonna say, well, what about Cauterize? Listen, we are not pro players. If you're a solo player, you know what I mean. You can't rely on these pushovers who constantly run on the objective and just get washed. You have to recognize your own skill set and just stick with it. Stick with your guns. That's what I always do. Play passively and just stick with your guns and recognize when you lose an engagement, you just retreat. This is what this speed is for. So get that in-game nimble to tier number 2. Of course, if they have some good Bomb Kings, good Saruses, good Anaras, you're probably going to get Resilience. Or maybe something else. Maybe you do need a Cauterize and you have a good team. Go ahead and get Cauterize. But I always get Nimble. The impact of Tyra's speed is just too great to deny, in my opinion. So, Trailblazer and Salamander, these are really just filler cards, in my opinion. I kind of have the Trailblazer on my Anara counter build. It helps with Buck players, it helps with Pit players, against those players, because they have really excellent slows. But I picked Trailblazer and Salamander because I only need a level 1 card. These other level 1s you would think are good. They're not good. 4% damage reduction for 6 seconds? I mean, they might not even hit you. So it's a useless, it's a very, I don't like these ones. It's not impactful enough. You could put the firebomb for 1 second, but you have Primal Might, which if you just get an elimination, if you just apply yourself, you can get an elimination. And that's 50% off. That's 9 seconds compared to if you just want to do 1 second for 1 cooldown. No, this isn't good enough. All these are just not, in my opinion, they're just not good enough. They're not impactful enough. Same with Salamander. Salamander, I guess, is pretty useful. I found myself being too aggressive and dying in my own firebomb, believe it or not. It does take quite a bit of damage from you, so this does help. But I just wish there was more better cards for Tyra, but there's not. So that's my main. Now if we look at the variants I have, the Genos is the obvious one. Everything's the same. I have reduced the incense for this one. I don't reduce the elimination. I could, but I just factor in the in-game nimble. It all stacks up. So I don't need too much speed. So I keep the Primal Might at 50%, and I just add this. Of course, you could just have this at 50, and the Genos ult can't kill you. I like it at 100. If you're having trouble with other champions who are constantly slowing you down, like the Buck players, the Anara players with her Obelisk or her Stone Warden, or the Pit player with his Catalyst, increase Trailblazer to number 2. You literally don't even feel it. It doesn't feel like anything. I've literally had Anara's flank me, and I just walk right out of their Warden because it just doesn't. It's not really too much effective with a Tyra speed build. When you have these ones, and then you can't be slowed on top of being given boosts, you literally, you just move on with your day. Tyra, Anara means nothing. Of course, you're gonna lose that engagement if you engage, but don't. I always recommend playing passively with Tyra. Play passively. When the opponents close that gap, run. Just retreat. Don't engage. That's my playstyle with this build. Now, as I said before, legendaries are pretty, you can choose what you want. I prefer hunting party. I can see other players with good aim, excellent aim, like PC gamer aim, use mercy kill. But, other players prioritizing firebomb. But with the burn monster legendary, I don't like those ones. I like impactful, and if hunting party was just 25% damage to yourself, that's still good. I would still pick it. But what really makes it good is it also benefits your allies. So if you do have a mic, if you are playing in a random game, just put your mic on. Hey, everyone attack so and so. I got 25% damage on it, and then you could just coordinate that if they want to, but they probably won't. So just to emphasize what I mean when I talk about his speed, let's attempt to show it if the video is long enough and has enough time left and someone doesn't pick Tyra in here. But I just really want to show, the speed of it. And if you ever play against a computer Tyra, you know what I'm talking about. So hopefully they can actually. Okay, cool. Finally, no other human players. Cool. And again, in my opinion, Tyra is a 3 out of 10 champion. She is not good, in my opinion. Once the opponents close the gap, and maybe you're going to beat a couple of low quality players, but when you finally meet someone who mains those damage dealer, mains the Cassies or the Leannes, and they're just gonna outclass you with damage, better aim, better everything. Tyra just does not have it at close range. She is a run and gun, almost like Victor. Once they close the gap on Victor and Tyra, it's game over. You can't win. Your fellow damage dealers' abilities are just better. So in my opinion, the style with my build with Tyra is to run away. Do your damage, throw your firebomb. If they close that gap, run. That's what all the speed is for, okay? Use the speed. Use cover. An excellent gamer who knows how to use cover and fight behind cover is going to shine with this build. The ability to fight behind cover, to have map control. And map control meaning you know every corner, every edge of the map, and you use it to your advantage.
Grieve not for the fallen who are finally at rest.
So, hunting party,
demons who shall know only eternal damnation.
main. And for me, though it's stupid, I recognize that, and it's uncoordinated and it's unteamful. I don't really care because I recognize that in most games you're not going to be put with good players and you're forced to stand on your own 2 feet. So for me, I always pick nimble. I recognize my own skill and I stick with my guns and I stick with my play style and I don't avert from it for my team. Of course, I'm helping them. I'm doing my best, but I'm just not going to decrease my odds for them. So it's pretty selfish, but it's passive, play passively. And of course these are bot players, so of course it's not going to be troublesome. But I'm really just going to showcase, just the speed of it. So hopefully I could get like a con. So first the hunting party. I always do hunting party first. Get that 20. See, feel that? See that? It just feels different. Then when you throw the hunting bomb, now it becomes better. Now, of course, that was a terrible engagement, but just remember to just use the cover. Like if in here, like this would be good cover right here. Just going side by side, throw the fire, and now you just, when Tyra is allowed to fight with all this cover, that's when I feel she's good. When she's in these little close corridors, these hallways. When Tyra's in hallways, with the speed, that's when she's really good, in my opinion.